I've got a size 10 partridge wet fly hook in the vise, and I'm going to start with, the whole fly is tied with sheer 14-0. This is white. I'll end it with a black head. This is going to be a teal blue and red. It's a teal blue and silver tied with a red tail, according to Roger Fogg's idea of an improvement. Now this is for fresh water where there might be a roach in the water. So I've got some red schlappen, just a little bundle to act as a tail. The normal version would be tied with golden pheasant tippet. So I've strapped it on along the top of the hook shank. This is going to have a tinsel body, so the underbody, you want as level an underbody as possible. I'm using Vivus oval silver. Silver wire works well. I just happen to prefer tying with oval silver. The Vivus stuff is pretty good. It doesn't open up the way some of the oval tinsels go. And that's tied on. The idea of using white thread is so that the silver tinsel, any gaps in the silver tinsel don't show quite as much. I'm cutting the silver tinsel to a point. I'm doing it loose using serrated scissors, and it gives me that sort of tag at the end, and that's tied on so that the cut edge will be at the rear. I've got this tied on so the silver is on the inside, so it's going to be on the outside when I start wrapping. And at this stage, I would, if I was tying this for myself, I would tie I would put a drop of super glue on there. It's not necessary, but it maybe gives a more security to the tinsel. So I've attached the black thread at the head, ready to tie the head, and the tinsel's coming forward. So the first wrap just folds the tinsel and shows the silver, and then it's tied in butting turns, close as possible. I'm trying not to overlap it. There might be some overlaps, but I'm trying not to overlap the tinsel. And then catch it in as close to the eye as possible. Unless you want a big head, unless you want a long head, it's got to be tied in really close to the eye and cut off close. Now the rib goes in the same spiral, but it's actually out of order because it's only going in 5 wraps, and it hides some of the faults, I suppose you would call them, in the underbody. I've tried tying this with the opposite spiral, and it doesn't look right. This is, in my opinion, this is how it should be tied. Now the throat is going to be blue schlappen. I've got a choice. I've got light blue, kingfisher blue, and teal blue, and it's a teal blue which is intended for this type of fly. It's not the green blue that we know from clothing, for instance. All Vineyard products. And for this fly, I'm using the teal blue, which is a slightly richer blue than I normally use. But any of these are fine. Any of these work well. I'm tying it with a beard, so I want the hackle fibres to come back to about the length to the point. Put them on at the side, and the first wrap of thread pushes them up a bit onto the top of the inverted hook, and then I'm going to make sure that they're centralised. I don't want them too long, and I don't want too big a pinch of hackle fibres. And then that gets creased and then cut. You're trying to cut that so it's not leaving a stub of blue sticking into the eye. That's just fixed in place with a few wraps of thread. And then the hook is re-inverted. Let's put the right way up. And I've now got to sort myself out with some teal. For the teal wing, I use 2 small flank feathers or breast feathers. They come from this sort of mixed pack. So I sort out a couple of feathers. These are actually flank feathers, they're not breast feathers. Strip the butts, and then I cut out the tips, and the tips are cut out so that there's a deeper V than the length of the shank, so I don't have any stem caught in when I tie these in. And then I put them one on top of the other, and I wet them, I put spit on them, and draw them together, and then pinch and loop the wing in. And you'll see that my wraps of thread are away from the eye, they're back from the eye. If I go close to the eye, I'm going to inevitably be left with butts sticking into the eye of the hook, so I don't want that. Cut them carefully, and then bring the thread down to the eye and wrap backwards. The length of this wing is, it's about my preferred length. It's slightly off the bend of the hook. And on a shorter hook like this, that looks right to me. I've covered the head with thread, whip finished, cut away, and then I'll give it a coat of varnish. Now normally what I do with these is give them a coat of varnish, ordinary solvent varnish, and then a coat of UV setting resin, and that finishes the fly. It's just applied with a cut down brush, a fine brush, and that's the fly finished. This fish is a standard wet fly, good tiny pin fry, sort of a suggesting fly.